Good morning. Welcome to Sending Ravens. Let's have a look at what the cards look like today. Let's see. 10 of Cups. Justice. Surrender. I always call that surrender. You've probably heard me say that before. This guy's in a yoga position and he's surrendered all his thoughts because they're getting him nowhere. He's just thinking all these, negative thoughts and it's getting him nowhere. And there's nothing he can do about his situation anyway. And the sun is rising. So it's like the end of a long night of worry. And really, worry is kind of a waste of time. I mean, I know sometimes it's necessary, but most of the time when you're doing it in the middle of the night, and you can't do anything about your situation anyway, it's kind of a waste of time and it's stressful. Okay, so something's been stressful and worrying you, and hopefully you've surrendered it, because there's another 10 here, and this 10 is maybe when the sun does rise and you're trying to be more hopeful, because that's a very hopeful card. It can even be slightly delusional. And I gotta say, sometimes delusional positive thinking can work to your benefit. I know that sounds crazy, but I use it. It's like my mind, I trained it to go to the best case scenario and not the worst case. And that's really, really improved my life, I got to tell you. And it may be delusional, but it's just as delusional to assume the worst. So either way, why not have more fun with it, or, feel like you're having a better life, right? Okay, it's that simple. Okay, we've got this Justice card. So there's something you've been worrying about that's going to happen anyway, or you have to go through. Because when Justice shows up, it says this is a karmic or a necessary thing that you have to deal with. Okay, we don't like it. Justice shows up, it says, this is just the fair thing that has to happen, or this is going to happen anyway. And major arcanas always say, okay, something's already been created, so you need to deal with this. Okay, and we've got the Four of Swords in the middle, so it's maybe not being talked about. So the situation that you've been worrying about, maybe you tucked it under here somewhere, and you're trying to be more positive about it or focus on other things, and that's not always a bad idea. Yeah, actually, in this case, that's a really good idea, okay? Because the thing you were worrying about will work itself out, and you'll work it out, okay, over time. So you can't really do anything about that thing, that worrisome thing. So in this particular case, I feel like it's a really good idea to tuck it away, put it in your back pocket, and assume you're working on it and it'll work itself out, or both of those things. You'll work towards it and it'll work itself out, right? Assume that. Now, it seems like the situation has something to do with maybe there's a worrisome family gathering or a large gathering you've been invited to that you feel like could be disastrous and or somehow traumatizing. Okay, so, or there's some kind of drama in your family, because this card's extended family. Okay, and maybe that's the worrisome thing that's on your mind. Or there's a gathering you've been invited to that you feel like is going to be a bit dramatic. Okay, but I feel like handling it by assuming the best and not focusing on it, okay, and assuming it'll sort of take care of itself, and or que sera, whatever will be, taking that kind of an attitude is actually going to work for you this time. Okay, actively worrying about it and wasting your energy stressing about it and in advance is not going to work. Okay, now I got the Ace of Pentacles in the middle. Yeah, I feel like better things will happen with this when you give it permission to actually work itself out, or even create itself in the most positive way instead of the worst case scenario. Wow, interesting. I hope that made some sense to somebody. and definitely made sense to me, actually. So have a great rest of your day. It's pouring rain here in Calgary. That's why it's so dark in this video. Maybe it might seem a little dark, even though this is early morning. Yeah, sending you ravens.